We do domestic asset protection trusts. There's very little case law. They often don't work, and no one ever thought they would stop the U.S. government. They will not. They absolutely will not. And worse, there's a 10-year statute under the bankruptcy law that they slid in December a number of years back, which means for 10 years, any federal judge can stroll into your domestic asset protection trust and take all the assets. That's a damn long statute of limitations. The longest and worst on earth was Bermuda at 8 years, but now we've surpassed them. So we are the worst possible jurisdiction for asset protection trusts. So the international trust works very similar. The difference is under the case law of these countries, they can't talk about it, they get fined, they lose their banking license, they might get fined $50,000 a year, that's more than some of the bankers make. They don't admit U.S. lawyers. They've repealed the statute of rule against perpetuity, statute of Elizabeth. So you can chart these, look at about 40 factors, and you can rank the jurisdictions for asset protection from 1 to 40, and we've done it, and another firm in LA did it, and they're almost identical. We agreed on almost every single point. So you don't want to pick jurisdictions that are kind of good. You know, this isn't here's 5 alternatives, here's the pros and cons, good luck. It's, you want to be here, here's why you want to be here, because you have the best chance of hanging on to your assets in this particular jurisdiction. So the international trust nuance is the fact that you put money into this trust, and it's a one-way door for you and your beneficiaries. Third parties cannot get these assets. They're fully disclosed, they're fully compliant, the U.S. government knows, you've got them, anybody else can find out, you've got them under FATCA. That information is going to be shared globally by most countries. So you're not hiding anything. You're simply putting things there that simply cannot be reached in a bankruptcy or going under. And you think to yourself, why is that such a big deal? Well, out of about 340 single-family offices that we've worked with, 6 are gone. They're completely bankrupt, gone. Smallest of these was about 50 million AUM plus all their other stuff. The 2 biggest were 720 million and over $500 million. When the company was number 1 in the Inc. 500. And watching very, very successful families go through bankruptcy is rather painful because they didn't have a start-over fund. So the Asset Protection Trust is a methodology to have something left, and we recommend 10% of your net worth. Get it out of your business, out of the investments you have, non-correlated low-risk assets that you can fall back upon. So at 10%, you're not going to have your lifestyle, but you're going to have a house and a car, and you'll be all right. I had a buddy, about $125 million. I flew on his jet. I fly fished on his private ranch. The meltdown took him down. How'd you like to be 63 years old and move into your elderly parents' basement? You have no self-respect. You have no capital to fall back on. It's a horrible, depressing situation. You just don't want to be there. So this will help make sure you've got something left. So in effect, the stealth prenup says, rather than just rely on the prenup, and I would do that too, I would do belts and braces. The old Dick approach, they would ask Mike Ditka, why would he wear a belt and braces? He said, well, when you're trying to keep your pants up, you can never be too damn sure. So same approach. Do the prenup first, if you can tolerate the disclosure, and then do this as the backup. It's never been set aside. A lot of celebrities, professional athletes, entertainers that you would know worth hundreds of millions have used this specific device. So it's got a managing member, which could be your virtual family office or a family office subsidiary, running a family holding company that would be in one of 3 U.S. states or about a dozen international jurisdictions because of nuances in their laws that facilitate asset protection. So this is a very precise protocol. In turn, then, the International Asset Protection Trust is in one of the 2 premier jurisdictions where no case has ever set aside a trust. So if you want to make sure you hang on to something without a disclosure obligation, this is the way that you get there. So when I mentioned those 130 proprietary strategies, here is one. We've had a number of others. The drop-down partnership, the tax-free double swap, the asset protection profile are ours. 2 of those, through the passage of time, and the tax law changes are no longer relevant, but a number of our strategies are still in that mix. And these new strategies come out on a pretty regular basis, and you don't want to eliminate them from your protocol. Some have 0 risk, they're just smart moves. Others are riskier, and you have to make a cost-benefit determination of whether it makes sense for you to do so, but they're very impactful. And we tell our global network of advisors, whenever you see something new, don't spend your own dime and evaluate it, send it to us. And if we've already seen it, we'll tell you. So for example, when the Boss transactions came out, you may recall BDO Seaman and Lehman jointly developed it. They came apart, so they had those two versions. And then there was son of boss, boss 3, boss 4. There were 5 versions of the same transaction, which were foreign currency monetary hedging transactions that always had great tax impact and rarely had good economic impact. So we determined, we're very quantitative. Almost all of our lawyers are CPAs, MBAs, LLMs, CFPs. We have a one even certified forensic accountant. So we put it together, looked at the numbers, and the reality is that playing smart poker isn't going to work, and maybe 10 to 15% of these people could possibly win. So normally we'll have 4 or 5 tax court cases a year. At the beginning of 2009, when the economic collapse killed all these projects, we had 34 tax court cases.
Listen to this full panel. Join the Family Office Club by visiting familyoffices.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next live event.